Hey, welcome to the next project for a drawing class, and in this project I'm going to have you draw a corner of your room, bedroom or whatever room, living room, whatever room you have that's available for you to work in. It's going to be an 18 by 24 inch drawing that you can work with a charcoal pencil. And so to demonstrate, we're here in my studio, and we're looking at a corner of my studio, and that's what I want you to do is choose a corner of a room that you can see, and I want you to populate that room with all the kind of different things that are in that room. But in order to make it a believable space, we have to provide some sort of structure to the interior. And so we're going to use a technique, a sighting technique, that is related to linear perspective, but it's less complicated. It doesn't have as many rules. It's really just about visual angle reading. Okay, and you just need for that, you need your charcoal pencil, and you need a regular pencil, preferably a nice long pencil that that you can hold in one hand, and your charcoal pencil you hold in the other hand. Okay, so I'm going to try and get this on video. See how this works. It's a little bit tricky. The basic technique is, though, you hold the pencil out in front of you and you close one eye, and when you do that, you're able to line up the pencil along an angle. And then, and this is very important, you have to transfer that angle to your drawing paper. And when you transfer the angle to your drawing paper, you have to be sure that you don't accidentally turn your wrist. In fact, you probably will a little bit, so that's why you always have to do it and then check it, and check it twice to make sure that you really are getting the right angle. One of the things that is important in this technique is, suppose I am trying to get a sense of the angle of the front edge of this table. There's a nice, long, clear line on the front edge of this table. And when I sight it, and this will make more sense in a minute, I may point my pencil out towards it into space, and that is that you can't do. What you have to do is you have to hold your pencil as if there's a flat piece of glass here, and your pencil can turn like the hands of a clock from 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can turn, but it can't go forward in space, and that's a very natural tendency, and it's a tendency that you have to kind of resist and fight against. So in order to establish the space, we're not going to look for every single angle in this view. We're going to look for some key angles. What we're going to start with is the corner itself, which would be a vertical line, which would be probably really close to the middle of the page. And it doesn't have to be the exact center, but probably somewhere in the middle, near the middle is where you want it. And I can't really even see that because I had that big piece of wood in the corner, but I can tell where it is, and so that's going to be my center line, and I'm going to put that line in the center of my drawing. Then the other lines to look for, good lines would be where the angle where the one wall, so the wall on the left, meets the ceiling. That's usually a strong visible edge in most rooms. And then, of course, the opposite wall, the angle that makes between the top of that wall and the ceiling. So that would give you three lines right there. The center of the corner, one line coming in towards it from the left, and one line coming in from the right. That's a good thing to start up near the top of the page to be the ceiling. And then I can't see the floor line. Maybe you'd be able to see the floor in your drawing, but I can see that edge of that table, and I can also see the edge of a shelf back there. And if I put together, 4 or 5 of these kinds of lines, I should be able to establish a rational, believable looking space, and then I can, sort of more or less freehand just try to draw the things that are in there. Also, I have the pictures hanging on the wall. That's good. Pictures on the wall, you see the nice edge of the frame. You can look at how those lines line up as well. All right, I'm going to attempt this with my little video setup that I've got here, and hopefully it will work, and you'll be able to see better what I'm talking about. So I'm going to step behind the camera, and when you close one eye, you can turn your pencil and make it lie against any one of these edges. So here on the angle is against the front edge of the table, or this shelf back there, or the top of this picture frame, or any one of these gray shelves if I have room for those gray shelves in there. The top edge of the wall, as I said, or this wall over here, the top edge of these frames. Maybe I can see these picture frames that are sitting on the floor, or the bottom shelf of this table. And if I get those things in, and of course I mentioned first of all this corner line here. So let's see if we can start with this line that is the top edge of where this wall meets the ceiling. I'll see if I can turn this around. Try to keep my hand as steady as possible. Bring it to my paper, and then I can take my pencil and draw a line. And then I know that I wanted my center line to be, or I wanted my corner of my room to be in the center there. So that means I need a line that goes there. Okay, so I'll turn this back. And this is the line across the top edge of the other wall, going this way. Again, try to keep that nice and steady without turning my wrist. Kind of messed it up a little bit, but come back, straighten that out a little bit. Okay, now let's see. How about this line of the, well, actually this one would be better because it goes closer to the corner. Now it doesn't go into the corner. Ooh, this one, you see this line here? That goes into the corner, so let's use that line. That's the sort of bottom of this bulletin board that's there. Okay, and that goes into the corner there. Okay. And then let's use this front edge of that shelf back there, which is a bit lower than this. And then this table going back here. Now that's a little trickier because it's sort of out of the picture frame, really. Out of the frame of the camera, but it's sort of there. And we could look at this line, which is the corner. I don't know if this would be within the camera view, but it would be, if I was drawing it, it would be, let's say I was drawing it like here. And then the back of the table is about here. And then let's see. I can take this now. And start to populate it with some things. Let's see what else we can put. Oh, well, how about these pictures on the wall? Let's say we look at these two pictures, roughly even. We can put them up on this wall here. We can say approximately like that. And at first, we're just going to do kind of an approximation. One thing you want to do is this line is not vertical enough. You want to make sure that whatever is supposed to be vertical, make sure it's really good and vertical. Now we can start to populate this. Now, for example, in the corner, I have a piece of wood that I scavenged somewhere. Big old piece of tree bark. And I can put that in there. And I can just do this by eye, but because I have this place that I've made for it, it's gonna basically, and it rests on this shelf here. And don't be afraid to make changes if you decide that there are some changes that need to be made. Another piece of wood there. And then I've got this skull of this wildebeest, actually, that I got, my wife gave me. And that's kind of hanging here. And it's right above a picture frame, or right next to a picture frame. Let's go back and take a look at that picture frame. And it's coming down at an angle like this. And then the bottom edge of that picture frame is about here. Let's see, what else can we do? Well, there is a oh, that was the back of that. Okay. So we can start to put in other things along this back wall. It's kind of a vase full of little sticks things over here. I can try to draw this. Now, I'm doing this pretty quickly, but you know, I've had a lot of practice at this, so don't necessarily expect to get everything to work out the first time you try this. You should expect to give this a few attempts, but you also are not going to have to be wrestling with this camera, so hopefully that will help you somewhat. Look for light and dark areas. So I noticed that there's right here, there are these some bags and things piled up right there, nice little white element right there, and that goes right here. And they make kind of a little pyramid of white shapes there. But then right next to that, it's very dark. So there's dark underneath this space here. And I can approximate where I think the back of this shelf is. And I think it's a little darker in here. And there's various other things. I can take an eraser and erase some of this out here. Anyway, the key point is that you are sighting along to make a certain rational sense to your space. And see, I've just sighted out about, you know, half a dozen of these lines, and after that I can be more freehand with it, and then I can look for a line if I need it. But I've established a kind of, at least a sense of a space that is related to this space that we're looking at here. I don't think it's perfect, but it begins to be a rational sense of this corner of this room. So give it a try. I'm going to ask to see some preliminary trials and versions of this. I don't expect that you're going to just get it right the very first time you try it, but try this technique of closing one eye and trying to sight along the length of a pencil or something straight, but I think pencil works good, and transferring it to the paper, which is key. Keeping it as flat as keep the angle as consistent as you can as you move it over to your paper. All right, give it a try, and I will talk to you later. Bye.